Good morning folks, how are you all doing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Grumps and I am the fat bloke on a bike. Right, slight change to the setup in a way. Normally I have the DJI Action 4 camera on my helmet connected to my microphone, which is a mini mic wireless jobby connected inside my lid. I've now switched them over because I have the 3 on the handlebars, so I've switched them over because it's easier for me to see when the mic connects there, not on here. Okay, that's that bit done. Right, before we get into this video, all the comments, views, etc. are mine, based on my experience of these tyres, which I have owned for, let's say, about 6 months. I've probably covered about 5,000 miles. So you may have experienced different, but this is my experiences of these particular tyres and my opinions. Okay, so we'll get on with the video. So, Kenda K657 tyres. Are they the worst tyre I've ever owned? Possibly. They do have some good points, they do have some bad points. Let's just clarify everything to start with. These tyres are budget tyres. They're not expensive, they're not super sticky coursers or anything. They are a budget tyre. Why did I buy them? Well, they're fitted to my Royal Enfield, the one I'm riding right now, Elvis. Royal Enfield 650 Interceptor. The bike weighs in around 200 kilos, plus my fat lump on top. It only left the factory with 47 brake horsepower. No doubt a few of them have escaped the stable since. So we're not talking mega power. Suspension on these bikes is extremely basic. Normal way up, forks, no adjustment. Rear suspension is twin shock with preload adjustment only. They do have little remote reservoirs, but they're just for show. You know, we're not talking Olins here. So it's not the kind of bike you want to fit supercoursers to. They'd be a complete waste of money. Now, the original tyres I had on here were called CEAT tyres, I believe. They lasted well. You know, they're okay. They're a budget tyre. One of the issues I found with them is they do what I like to call tram lining, where you have undulations in the road, markings in the road, or grooves if you like in the road. The tyre will follow those grooves. These tyres do exactly the same thing. Maybe it's something to do with budget tyres, I don't know. Yeah, I can live with that. Yeah, CEAT tyres had worn out. I was looking for replacements. These Kendas came in at something like 130 to 150 pound a pair, plus fitting of course. I thought, oh, that'll do. Nice looking tread pattern. Looks like a reasonable tyre. Couldn't really find much in the way of reviews about them. They'll do. We'll give them a try. Like I say, they've got some really good points and they've got some really bad points. We'll start with the good points. They're cheap. They are cheap. You know, to replace these tyres with, if you like, a big name brand, Michelin, Pirelli, whatever, you're talking £200 to £300 a pair, at least. Yeah, don't you worry about me, mate. You just pull out, carry on like there's no problem, dickhead. Sorry. Now, like I say, they are cheap. Equivalent tyres in a more popular brand, you're aiming for 300 quid, double the price. The tyres themselves, pretty good. In the 6 months or so I've owned them, I'd say I've done about 5,000–6,000 miles on them, and they've hardly worn. You know, there's still loads of life left in them, to be fair, they're long lasting. I've not lost any pressure either. They are tubed, but they don't appear to lose any pressure at all, which is good. Oh. They roll over the bumps, no better or worse than anybody else. And in dry weather, they handle really well. Considering the bikes, the weight, the suspension, etc., they hold the road really well in the dry. Yeah, you can see here I'm not racing around these bends, but it's gripping the road lovely, no problem at all. I'm not leaning over super far, but even when you're pushing on a bit, accounting for the bike and the suspension and everything else, they grip the road really well, to be fair. Can't fault them on that. Now, from what I remember from having them fitted, they weren't too bad to be fitted. There was no comments that they were an absolute nightmare to fit, like my Anless Kappa X's, which are on my KTM. Good tyre, but they're absolute bastards to fit, apparently. I don't fit them, so I don't know. But there were no comments of difficulty fitting these. So can't fault them on that. So overall, quite a good tyre. Hold the road well, easy to fit, or easy enough, long lasting, no major issues with them as such, except one. The two problems with these tyres, one is they do this tram lining thing which I mentioned, which is more annoying than anything. But there is one flaw these tyres have which, in my opinion, makes them dangerous. And the only reason I haven't replaced them yet is because of cost. I don't have the money, finances are a bit tight, and throwing away a perfectly usable pair of tyres, albeit they're crap in certain places, I can't afford to do at the moment. So what is this major flaw with these tyres? Wet weather. Yep. When the roads are wet, these tyres are the most horrendous, ridiculous, horrible tyre I have ever owned in my entire life. And I've been riding bikes on and off for well over 40 years. I've used massive range of tyres, right back to, very few of you remember, for those old enough, the Avon SMs, Skidmasters we used to call them, Speedmaster they called it. The Avon SM, a square profile tyre that you could, well, you never wore them out. They perished before the tread wore out, they were that hard. These are worse in the wet, I am not kidding. On my commute to and from work I go through quite a number of roundabouts, and I'm leaning over, about as far as I'm leaning over now. 10 degrees? Which is basically nothing. And what happens when I go through a roundabout at that pace? The tyres lose traction. Yep. They twitch. Happens on corners too. I'm barely leaning the bike over and it wobbles. Front and rear lose grip. Now, if I was tanking it around the corners, you know, almost knee down type cornering, I would understand that. But when you're barely leaning the bike over and it twitches, what feels like it's jumping 6 or 8 inches, it's probably only an inch or two, but it feels like 6 or 8 inches of side slip, it's bloody terrifying. You're barely leaning the bike over at all. You're not going at any pace, you're 10-15 miles an hour tops, and the bike twitches. That is scary. It leaves me with absolutely no faith in these tyres whatsoever in the wet. Under braking, I'm even wary in case they lose grip under braking. But I've got ABS on here, obviously. But that don't mean nothing if your tyres lose grip. They are terrifying in the wet. I could not recommend these tyres to anybody. As I say, it's only for financial reasons they're still on the bike. I reckon I get another couple of thousand miles out of these tyres, which financially is great. But as the wet weather comes in, this bike is atrocious. The original Seat tyres were better in the wet, and they're like Chinese, Indian, whatever the hell they are, I don't know. Sorry, just waiting for these wagon. I'm not getting any closer in case one of them needs to move. Yeah, they're bigger than me, they win. Yeah, these tyres are... they're fantastic in the dry for a budget tyre. I can't fault them. In the wet, absolute crap. The worst tyre I have ever owned in my entire life. Now don't forget, I run Anna's Capra X tyres on my KTM, which are big knobbly tyres. They're classed as 50-50, I'd say they're more off-road focused than road. And even they have more confidence in the wet than these do. Which is a shame, because it's a nice looking tyre, it's got a nice tread pattern, it rides beautifully in the dry. Yeah, that. As soon as finances allow, because at the moment I say finances are a bit tight, I've got to replace the back tyre on the KTM and it's due for MOT soon, and other outgoings, but as soon as the finances are there, new tyres will be going on Elvis. I'll be getting rid of these bloody things. There we go. That is my view, opinions, review if you like, of the Kenda K657 tyre, front and rear fitted to my bike. Can't remember the size off the top of my head. They're 18-inch rims, I know that. As fitted to my Interceptor. Now, I say, you may have a different experience with Kendas. I did watch a tyre review when I was looking at new tyres for the KTM from Nathan Millward, known as Nathan the Postman. He had Kenda big blocks on one of his bikes, because he does a lot of these green laning trips and stuff. And he said he couldn't recommend them in the wet either. He said they're great off-road, but on the tarmac, especially in the wet, they were horrendous, and he said he would never ever use them again. Now, whether that's down to Kenda, or whether it's just experience with the tyres, I don't know. Personally, I'd say never ever buy them, but that's my opinion. Obviously it's up to you. Okay, that's enough. I'm off. I'll keep you informed as to what happens with these tyres as and when. In the meantime, folks, whatever you're doing, please be safe, ride safe and have fun. And of course, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. All the usual helps you build the channel. Thank you very much. Oh yeah. Doodles!